Started signing up back in November of last year as part of our volunteer program to activate in our community across the LA region. We've done 30 events, but today really is the big day. And so we want everybody to go to our LA 28 website and sign up to be a volunteer, be part of the LA 28 volunteer crew. And I would be remiss if I didn't add on and some great thank yous to all of our friends here. So let me just start over here. This guy, legend. 1984 volunteer. And he's back to do it again, Paul Madwin. Let's give it up for Paul, right? He still has his 84 uniform. It's still hanging in the closet, and I suspect, does it still fit?
Yeah.
Right?
Lucky you. Mine doesn't fit.
Carl Lewis, what more can we say, right?
Yeah!
Incredible Olympian, 1984, really great friend of LA 28, and we're so glad to be here today. Thank you so much. Maybe somebody who everyone knows already, Paul Kokorian. Paul is the director of the LA City's Office of Major Events, has been a great partner with us, both when you were on City Council, but now as our director of major events for the city, not just doing the Olympics and LA 28, but World Cup and all the other great events that we've got going on here. Paul, thank you so much. Of course, none of this and none of our volunteer program could happen without our friends at Delta Airlines as our presenting partner of our LA 28 volunteer program, and Dana Debo. Last but not least, well, we have our Olympic fellows and Paralympic fellows, but more importantly, the woman that's made all of our fellows program possible, the legendary Janet Evans, our Chief Athlete Officer. And of course, we have all of our volunteers behind us. Big Jan. Right? This is an amazing day. Look, we have an opportunity here to be able to show the world on the 14th of July, 2028, just 731 days from today, 2 years out, 24 months, whatever measure you want to call it, an opportunity to show the world that we can bring together more than 200 countries, not in conflict, but in competition. And we saw that with World Cup going on just down the road at the 8 matches at SoFi Stadium. That same spirit of competition. Look, the volunteer program is critical to that. When I was in Paris and when I was at Milano Cortina and watched the Winter Games, I saw firsthand the power of the volunteers. They are the crew behind the scenes. They're the crew behind the show. They're the crew who make it all happen. They were on every street corner. They were at every metro stop. They were at every venue. They were always happy. They came from all over the world. And our volunteer program is going to reflect that same Olympic spirit. And we're really happy to be a part of that program and look forward to all of you signing up. You know, you never give the general a microphone because I won't shut up, but I have to. And let me just pass it on to Paul.
All right. Thank you, Reynold. Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here on behalf of Mayor Karen Bass to welcome all of you and to thank you for being here on this beautiful Los Angeles morning to participate in the 2-year out celebration, but also to serve your city. And I'm so glad and honored to be here with my friend and partner, Reynold Hoover, who has spent his entire career serving our country and now is continuing to serve our country by bringing us the world's biggest event and making that a success, not just for the city of Los Angeles, but for the entire United States of America. So, Reynold, thank you very much for your work. And to be standing here with Carl Lewis and Janet Evans, two of our national heroes, people whose dedication and commitment and success and ability to overcome every obstacle inspired our nation. It's such an honor to be with you again, and that's what today is about. It's about service, and it's about inspiration. And Mayor Karen Bass understands that mega events like the Olympic and the Paralympic Games give us a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to come together as a community, to serve one another, to celebrate with one another, and to uplift one another. And that's what the volunteer program does. We will need tens of thousands of people to raise their hand and say, I want to help. I want to help make sure that the Olympic and Paralympic Games are a success, for sure. But I also want to help to make sure that Los Angeles puts its best foot forward when we welcome the entire world. And that's what Karen Bass means when she talks about a Games for All. It means everybody participates, everybody benefits, everybody helps, everybody raises their hands and say, I'm all in. And so as we move forward with this, after the Games, when we have these tens of thousands of volunteers who are helping to make the Games a success, we want to make sure we continue to keep folks like that activated afterwards as well. And if we can do that, and if we can make sure that people continue to serve their community, that will be one of the greatest human legacies that these Games will leave behind after 2028. So I am so grateful to be here with all of you. By the way, is anybody from Friends of Griffith Park here? All right, so I got to tell you, Tom LaBonge was my seatmate for much of the time that I was in council, and I feel him here. I feel him here in his favorite place with his favorite people, working on his favorite vision, which was the 28 Games and making our city better through service. So thank you all very much for being here. And listen, the Games could not be a success without the incredible partners that we have who make this possible. And we are going to have the third Los Angeles Olympic Games that is financially successful for the Games and for the people of Los Angeles, thanks in large measure to the extraordinary sponsors who are making all of this happen. And one of those is Delta Airlines. And so it's a great honor to introduce Dana DeBell of Delta Airlines, who's making all of this volunteer program possible.
Thank you very much, Paul, for that very warm introduction. We're so thrilled as Delta to be here today to kick off the volunteer program 2 years out officially for the LA 28 Games. It's actually, for us to be here at Griffith Park is an incredible full circle moment for us, because when we announced our initial partnership with the LA 28 Games, it was just a little bit further up this hill at the Griffith Park Observatory in March of 2020. And so to be back here today to kick off the volunteer program 6 years later is an incredible moment for us. And as Paul was saying, for us to be part of this Games is truly part of being a legacy. But when you talk about a legacy, it's what are you leaving, right? And the ability to leave an incredible volunteer program, an incredible volunteer footprint is something that we believe very strongly at Delta. We want to be part of this community. We want to make sure that we're able to leave this community better off every single day. And I want to talk a little bit about what Reynolds said as well. He talked about how Games are bringing us together and how we saw that with the World Cup. At Delta, we like to say nobody better connects the world. And nothing better connects the world than sport. The ability to cheer together, to celebrate together, to feel the victories together, sometimes the heartbreaks, but it's all something that is done together and done in an incredible spirit. And so we're thrilled to be here, to be part of this. And I have to say, for myself, this is personally one of the most exciting things I've ever gotten to do. I remember as a child watching the Olympics in 1984. My dad was a track and field coach, and sitting down in our house and watching those games in '84 and cheering on the incomparable Carl Lewis as he did things that at the time we never thought anybody could do. And so to be here today, to get to introduce one of the most decorated Olympians of our time, a gentleman who represents so much of what this sport is about and the games are about is a true honor of my life. So without ado, Mr. Carl Lewis.
Well, welcome everyone. As you mentioned that, I remember for us growing up, the Olympics was so important in our family. And the best thing about it is that every single Olympic year, Dad bought a new TV. And so, in those days you had one TV in the house and you watched what Dad wanted. So we were happy he liked the Olympics. And then as you go, you think the next level. I think about a few years ago when we were sitting in front of City Council talking about the Olympic Games, bringing it to Los Angeles. And I'm just sitting there, and I remember telling a story about my mother, because my mother was the reason I got into sports, because she wanted to give girls access to sports. So she started a club when kids wouldn't do it. And I saw my parents my entire life, first started off a few kids, and then girls, and then other boys, and everyone joined. And next thing you know, summer after summer, they were running this club, 200 kids a year or so. And Christmases were not as best. Vacations didn't exist. There were always track meets. But what I didn't realize, I was watching my parents serve. They were both public school teachers and club coaches in the summer. And all I saw was service, service, service. And, as you're a young kid, you think, oh, my God, we missed this, we missed that. But it was the dream of my life. And so this is important to me because it takes me back to '84. And I never in a million years thought I could have had another Olympics in the United States. And I was hoping I'd live long enough, and I guess we kind of have. And sometimes I feel like I was at 32, especially the way the athletes tell me, But what's so important is that I remember going to that '84 Olympics, and you have you see the volunteers all the time because that's who you're interacting with. You're not interacting with the officials very much. You're interacting with the volunteers. And when I lived here in Los Angeles, it didn't seem like a day went by when I was a volunteer. I saw this. I went to the meet. And it was just so incredible. And then some of the ones that said, "Thank you for getting my free burgers at McDonald's because all the races you won." But there's so many stories. And the thing about it is that you need tens of thousands of volunteers that are going to have tens of thousands of stories to tell their families and their children and the people for years and years to come. And I know we'll have another Olympic Games in their lifetime. And they'll have those stories to tell. They'll be back here telling those stories and telling their children, and their children will want to do this. And it's so, so important. And I feel so honored to be a part of this. I'm a college coach now. I started as a volunteer. And, I'm a track coach, so they still pay me like a volunteer. But one of the things that's happening in college sports is that there's such a challenge right now in the way things are changing, and there are concerns about the future of Olympic sports. Well, what's going to save Olympic sports is events like this. And what's going to save Olympic sports is volunteers like this that believe that it's more than just the amount the coach gets paid or the amount the athletes get paid or what the TV ratings are. It's about the every single day commitment to making sure that people's lives around you are better or easier or more comfortable. And of those 60,000, the athletes will know just a few people. But you are dedicated to making people's lives better in the most important time of their life. 99% of these people will go to one Olympics, they'll have one shot at it, and many of them will go out in the first round, so they'll have one race, but they'll see your faces, all the volunteers' faces, and everyone else's faces, because that's who they're going to work with every day. So it's my honor to be here. It's my honor to be a part of LA 28. I can't believe how excited I am. I came here 42 years ago as an athlete, and the first thing my coach said when I won my first medal was like, "You should have pushed out of the blocks better." I'm like, "Dude, I just won the gold." And 42 years later, I have a chance to go back to the Olympics. Now I'm coaching, and I'll have athletes there. And the first thing I'm going to say when they do well is, you better push out of the blocks and be nice to those volunteers. So I just want to say, but my honor, though, to move on, because this isn't about us. It's about the volunteers. It's about the future. It's about the Olympics. It's about the movement. And so I want to bring up my friend. Years later, we both made it. Go on up, Paul. You are next in line. Yeah, I'm give me a few years, I'll catch you. Here you go, Paul.
All right.
60,000. That's the number that we need to fill our volunteer ranks. And I'm going to be one. I volunteered in 1984. and I was volunteering with people who volunteered in 1932. I volunteered a year before the games. During the games, I was in the Coliseum as a section chief for the opening, closing, and all the track and field, and watching my friend Carl win four gold medals. You know, it's hard to tell you how fantastic it is to be a volunteer. You can't experience it until you do it. And today is the opening of those who want to volunteer. It takes a short period of time to do it. I am telling you that you will never, never forget it, no matter how long you live. For me, it was a no-brainer to understand that I'm going to be volunteering in '84 at age 90. So we're going to have a wonderful time then, as we did in '84, and a wonderful time in LA 28. And I just want to tell you this, that if you don't do it, you will remember not doing it for the rest of your life. You volunteers are going to be a very, very small percentage of people in the world who have ever seen and or volunteered for the Olympics. And I'm telling you, you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for the city, the state, and our country. And let me just finish this by saying, don't be a woulda, coulda, shoulda. Be I did it, I loved it, and I'd do it again. Thank you.
Paul, you are the epitome of what we want as a volunteer. You are telling the story not just of '84, you're helping us make the connection from '84 to 28. Thank you so much for what you've done and what you're going to continue to do. I really appreciate it. Let's give him another round of applause. So we'll just wrap up here, but first let me just say again, you know, we couldn't do this without Friends of Griffith Park for what you're doing. And let me just say as well, you know, not too far from here in this Griffith Park zone, you're going to see the finish line for Cycling Road. And not too far from here, you'll also see the finish line for Paracycling Road in the LA Zoo. And so this is not only, you know, an opportunity to be part of the Friends of Griffith Park, but also an opportunity to really talk about and be at one of our, you know, our big venues on the road cycling courses as well, both for the Olympics and Paralympics. So thank you all for being here. I have some instructions I think I'm supposed to say.
Do a little call to action first.
Yeah, I have a call to action of what I'm supposed. We didn't rehearse this part of the thing. So
Okay.
Give us the call to action.
Give us the call to action. We would love everybody, our speakers and our volunteers, on the count of 3 to say, apply to volunteer for LA 28.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
Okay, ready? One, and look into the cameras. Ready? It's apply to volunteer for LA 28. 1, 2, 3.
Apply to volunteer for LA 28.
Okay, what am I supposed to do now?
Now we're doing the photo.
Photo. So everybody stay for the photo. Thank you so much for coming.
Just stay that there. Okay, just stay.